Solo Leveling. A series I assume many people have opinions on, none of which I'm aware of as I literally just started watching it 2 days ago. And having caught up with it in a binge session that is no longer usual for me, I had some things to say about it. Power fantasies are a tricky thing for me to talk about. This is mostly due to the fact that I actually like them. I mean, I didn't make Sword Art Online my first ever video on this platform for no reason. And yet many assume I'd like it just because I want to be the main character. And while I certainly do, and while I don't really support the notion that a series has to have interesting elements outside of just that, I think Solo Leveling does. It has layers, like an ogre, like Shrek. I love me a good overpowered character, as long as two things happen. They have an interesting character arc, and spawning off of that, there is reasonable justification for their overpoweredness. And not just an in-story reason, but rather a thematic one. What is the story trying to tell us, and why does it necessitate having an OPMC? Again, I don't need these things. I don't subscribe to the idea that popcorn entertainment is any less worthy than more artistic endeavors. But, well, if I'm going to make a video on it, I at least need something to talk about. And Solo Leveling has plenty of that, especially in regards to a thematic reason for his overpoweredness, which we'll get to. The core question that lies at the heart of the story, at least to where the anime has caught up to, is the fundamental human question of, well, what does it mean to be human? And many series and films, books, and Greek tragedies have tried to answer this question, from the AI philosophies of the film Her to the tragedies of Arcane. And while I don't think Solo Leveling is as great as those two, quite frankly, its question of humanity may be equally as interesting. Sung Jun-woo, our protagonist, comes face to face with the ugliness of humanity pretty early on in the story. Not only is he ridiculed for being weak, which I'm frankly less interested in, but he is faced with death because the majority of humans will abandon him when times are tough, when their lives are on the line. And I rightfully don't think the story blames these people for that, but rather shows them in a more sympathetic light. It doesn't abandon them. It keeps telling their stories, even if some of those stories come to a bitter end. The world of Solo Leveling, like ours, is a dog-eat-dog world, and Sung is at the heart of that. After getting the ability to literally level up like a video game, a part of him grows stronger. And yet, a part of him also dies. We see this with several direct lines from the character, as he notices that with each level he gains, he loses a part of himself, as he becomes absorbed in this world of only the strong survive. My favorite part of this story is that the narrative, like many other plot points, doesn't simply let that go. It doesn't senselessly drill it into our heads, but we can visibly see Sung's progression from a fairly lighthearted smart kid to a more cold exterior individual. And him having to kill other people only serves to further that progression, but we'll get to that in a second. But he never forgets it. As the show progresses on, we see him lament the fact that he has crossed a line. I honestly don't think he considers himself to be a human anymore. Once he gets his mom back, he is happy, yes, yet becomes hesitant to approach once that initial relief is gone. Because he has killed. Because he has crossed that line. And on the topic of his mom, it makes his desire for power make all the more sense. He wants to level up because then he can get the elixir of life to save her from her illness. Even before he gets his power, he faces death in the dungeons every day because he needs to support his sister and keep his mom on life support. It's simple, yes, but this was always a simple character in a rather simple show. And honestly, that's okay. I assume many viewers were asked the question, why he keeps going before he gets his powers. And even the characters in the anime ask that same question. The story is aware of this. And while the story shows he tried other jobs and failed at them, painting being a hunter as his best path, it's still kind of not. But there's a fire within Sung. And while his main objective is to support his family, his way of doing that is just a bit reckless. But as the anime portrays, perhaps it is the hunters that are the crazy ones. That sometimes they enjoy killing monsters even. And while Sung isn't initially portrayed that way, he eventually comes to find that enjoyment in it. So perhaps he wanted that all along. Maybe he even felt a subconscious desire to prove himself, as nobody believed in him. As I've discussed in other videos, self-esteem is a tricky thing. But when you're brought up in a violent world, in this case being one swarmed by monsters and other magical, dangerous creatures, you start to equate power with worth. That your ability to do violence right is what makes your life meaningful. And yet, once Sung saves his mom, he basically gives up on leveling up. Because he doesn't need to in order to get the elixir anymore. Because he saved her already. He doesn't even participate in the big raid because he wants to be there for her. And while the newest episode has him entering the battle, it is only because countless lives will be lost if he doesn't. It also poses a danger to his family, and he simply can't have that. Love is a weird thing. As I've discussed in my The Wild Robot video, we do things for love that even directly oppose its evolutionary purpose. But what I love about solo leveling is that Sung isn't just some cold badass. He's a person. And because he is a person, he loves others. I saw on Twitter a post making fun of Sung for crying once his mom finally wakes up, saying it breaks the immersion. And I honestly can't help but question if we were even watching the same anime. Because in reality, despite what I said before, Sung was never really a cold person. He just kinda acts tough. Probably due to him enjoying killing monsters like we previously discussed, or protecting his family, or whatever you want to say it is, honestly. But he never doesn't care about the value of human life, even when he has to take it. And the series progression of him becoming a killing machine when he clearly doesn't want that, of him slowly losing himself as he gains more powerful, is going to be endlessly enjoyable to watch in future seasons. Perhaps this will be a portrayal of absolute power corrupts absolutely, or maybe it will be a whole new commentary on human existence. I really can't wait to see it. I also want to briefly talk about the world of solo leveling, at least one aspect of it. Sadly, it makes all too much sense that humanity would find a way to profit from the portals, using the resources there as an energy supply. It reminds me a lot of the military-industrial complex where, in the anime at least, even the construction companies want to form their own guilds. Everyone wants a piece of the pie, and humans are always ones to try and benefit from things they don't quite understand. And the best part is, like with basically everything else in this anime, the show doesn't just drop the plot point. It keeps talking about it, which is honestly more than I expected while going in. But maybe after future seasons, I'll talk a little bit more about this. Man, I just really like solo leveling, because most of all, it's a really enjoyable watch. Man, I don't binge series anymore, but I binged solo leveling. And in this series I'm maybe going to do, like YouTube video wise, we'll be taking a look at these more popcorn entertainment media properties. And hopefully showing that even past that, they have artistic merit. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this more chill video. And, as always, thank you for watching.